Hi, I'm Susie Cortright with Remax Properties at the Summit in beautiful Breckenridge, Colorado. Today, I'm going to share a selection of 2022 market statistics at the year's end compared to those of 2021. And I will provide some insights and thoughts into where our unique resort market has been and where it now appears to be heading. The charts and graphs I'll reference here contain a lot of information, and you may want to go over them in more detail. You can do that on my website anytime. To navigate to the market stats, just go to my main page here at susiecortright.com and then click How's the Market to bring up the Summit County Real Estate Statistics page. Or you can bookmark it or subscribe to my monthly newsletter. As you probably know, I love statistics and I share them every chance I get. So I'm going to enlarge this chart here so you can see it better. This is a chart that you have seen before, but now it has been updated through the end of 2022. So it shows 23 years of sales. Move myself up just a bit. From January 1st to December 31st of each year. These are residential properties in Summit County, which includes homes, duplexes, townhomes, and condos. This graph does not include the deed-restricted homes in the workforce housing neighborhood of Smith Ranch because the single-family home prices are lower there and can skew our data. But you'll see here the average sold price is the blue bar. The percentage on top of the blue bar is the average price change from the prior year. The number of sales is depicted by the red line, so you can track the sales activity throughout the years. So here we see in 2022, we had a 15% increase in average sold price, but a decrease by 38% in the number of properties sold. This kind of graph shows us a great number of things. It shows that the last time we saw a decrease in sales activity like that was in 2008, and you can see that we had a correction in our market that followed. Now, there are a number of reasons that this is not the same market as we had 15 years ago. Going back to my website, I link to an article that goes into more detail about why this isn't 2008. But to be brief, comparing key variables nationally in the last housing cycle to today, we have a better landscape today in terms of employment. There's less inventory, both in terms of new construction and existing properties. And we have far less mortgage delinquency, homes in foreclosure, and subprime loans than in 2008. Again, these are national numbers here. But in this market where we are looking for patterns and trends, it's interesting and it's something that we keep an eye on. Now, it's important to understand that looking at the big picture, we can say that 2021 and the first part of 2022 certainly were outliers. We really experienced a pandemic-led boom that is not likely to be repeated. As I'm sure you were aware, during the pandemic, Summit County saw a great deal of sales activity as people were drawn out of cities and into more rural and resort areas to play, but also to work and to live. Now, in our year-end statistics, we see in detail what has been happening year over year. But I really have to say that some of the most compelling charts and graphs that I've seen lately have to do with our monthly sales figures throughout the pandemic. I have some really interesting charts that I can share with you that break down those monthly sales from January 2020 to the end of 2022 for specific segments of the market. And we can go over these together one-on-one to give you a sense of where we saw some of those prices peak for those particular segments. And then we can see what the market has been doing on a monthly basis since that peak. It's really interesting and can give you a better understanding of the current market. So please, if you're interested in that, reach out to me. We can go over those together. I want to emphasize here too that while our market has cooled, we are seeing some good opportunities arise here and there. When we look at recent list price to sold price ratios, we see that sellers really tend to be more open to negotiation in this market. Of course, there are some sellers who are more motivated than others. There are some good prices out there, so there is some opportunity. And, as is characteristic of any transitional market, I'm still seeing a gap from time to time between seller expectations and what a buyer is offering. I have been working recently with several buyers who have written offers and then hold firm on their lower and I would say realistic offer prices. I'm kind of waiting for the sellers to reassess the market as time goes on. So patience can be key right now for buyers, preparation and patience. And this is all very dependent on the individual property as well. Appropriately priced properties are still going under contract even in this slower market. But let's look more closely at our year-end statistics, specifically for single-family homes and for condos, kind of broken up into two different categories. In single-family homes, the number of single-family home sales decreased by 34%, with 427 total homes sold. Average sold price for single-family homes in Summit County year over year increased 12%. That brings the average sales price for a single-family home to just over $2.1 million. On the last day of 2022, in terms of inventory, there were 97 single-family homes for sale in all of Summit County, and the average list price of those 97 was just over $4.8 million. So a lot of high-end homes still on the market. Turning to condos, number of condominium sales decreased 39%, with a total of 650 condos sold in 2022. Average sold price increase for condominium sales in Summit County increased 15% year over year to an average condo sold price of $785,000, or just above. In terms of inventory for condos at the end of 2022, there were 115 condominiums for sale in all of Summit County. The average list price of those 115 was just under $1.2 million. So those are the numbers in a nutshell. You can download PDF charts of not only these statistics in each town. You can have these statistics that I'm sharing with you here, but also a PDF of the statistics for each town in Summit County, both single-family homes and condos. So a lot of information here broken down by town. And as I said last month, really the very best thing that you can do in this market is to stay in close touch with me. If you're financing, talk to your lenders. You're ready to go when an opportunity does come along. Inventory is creeping up. I'm going to show you where we are here. We're still notably below the pre-pandemic numbers at this point. You can see here, this is January of 2020, just before the pandemic, and inventory, the number of residential listings by town in 2023. Our inventory will likely peak in August, as it has historically, so there will be more opportunities even as we head into summer. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens, of course, as we roll through the first 2 quarters of this year. And as you can see, we're watching it closely. Why we will, we're also really trying to help our buyers to understand that Summit County properties tend to be first and foremost a lifestyle purchase, and that lifestyle really does continue to be fantastic. It's really in demand by buyers from all over the country for a variety of different reasons. I go into detail on a few more charts and graphs on my website and in my newsletter, so please make sure you're subscribed to that. And as always, please know that I'm always here to answer any questions about your particular situation, your wants and needs, and how your particular market segment is looking. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I am here to help in any way that I can.